Relax. There is nothing to chase, nothing to run after. The moment you cease striving, the moment you step back into the stillness of your being, you come into alignment with the power that shapes worlds. The seed of your desire was never planted in vain. It was given to you because its fulfillment already exists. To relax is to trust, and to trust is to know that what you have imagined is already yours. Close your eyes and breathe. The universe does not work through tension. It works through inner knowing. The moment you imagine clearly and accept what you've imagined as already true, you release it into the unseen, where it begins to unfold. You do not need to push the river. It is already flowing. The current of life moves through the impressions you hold in your imagination. If you can see it in the mind, feel it in the heart, and rest in the certainty of its being, the universe must respond. To relax is not to give up, it is to let go of doubt. To relax is not to do nothing, it is to do the only thing that matters. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Imagine yourself as the one who already has it, already is it, already knows it. That state of consciousness is your key. You don't need to beg, plead, or strive. You need only dwell in the end. Feel it real and then let go. The universe does not delay out of cruelty or hesitation. It responds in perfect rhythm to your conviction. When you let go of time, of how and when, and instead dwell in what is already done, you become a magnet to your manifestation. You do not force the fruit to grow. You plant the seed in fertile soil and trust the season. Your imagination is that soil, your feeling is the water, your inner stillness is the sun. Let it be. Let go of needing to see it right now. Let go of the mental noise that says it hasn't happened yet. The moment you relax into the assumption that it is done, all of life begins to shift around that new center. People move. Opportunities open. Circumstances bend. The world reorganizes itself to match the vision you hold in the quiet of your heart. You are not here to make it happen. You are here to know it has already happened. That knowing, that deep, relaxed acceptance, is the most creative force in the universe. When you walk in faith, when you speak from the end, when you feel from the place of already having, you command the invisible into form, not by might, not by struggle, but by surrender. So, relax, relax, and remember who you are. The power is not out there, it is within. The universe is not withholding. It is waiting on your inner agreement. The world mirrors your state of being, not your effort. When you align with the vision and rest in its fulfillment, the reflection must appear. Let the world catch up to your inner reality. Let the things you dreamed of find you. They are already yours in the unseen. And in divine time, perfect time, they must appear. Relax, and let the universe do what it does best, manifest. And so, rest your mind. Withdraw it from the noise and the striving. Turn inward where the real work is done. Not with force, but with vision. There is no power outside you that is greater than the power within you to imagine and accept. When you truly accept something within, without resistance, it begins to express itself effortlessly in your world. This is the art of manifestation. Not labor, not repetition, but being. Being in the state, being in the feeling, being in the knowing. When you relax, you quiet the storm of fear that clouds your creative ability. Anxiety is the enemy of clarity. Worry fogs the mirror of life. But when you are still, when you are calm and surrendered, you become transparent to the power of creation. You no longer distort the signal with disbelief. You become a clear channel through which the unseen flows into the seen. The moment you rest in the awareness of the fulfilled desire, the universe begins to orchestrate every detail necessary for its expression. Let go of the timeline. Time is only a construct in the outer world. Imagination knows no past or future. It works in the eternal now. That's why the feeling must come first. because the feeling creates the present reality of your assumption, and the world has no choice but to catch up. Everything you see around you now was once imagined. It had to be conceived inwardly before it could be birthed outward. The same is true for you. You may think nothing is happening, but everything is happening. The moment you relax into the state of fulfillment, the wheels turn invisibly. Circumstances you cannot see begin to move. People you've never met begin to feel impulses they cannot explain. Doors begin to form where there were only walls. But none of this can happen while you are doubting, while you are striving, while you are fighting against the natural flow. Your work is not to manipulate the outer world. It is to rest in the inner conviction that what you imagined is already so. And this rest is not idle. It is powerful, it is sacred, it is a bold statement of faith in the unseen. When you can rest in the middle of chaos, when you can feel fulfilled in the midst of lack, when you can smile without needing the evidence, that is when you are in alignment. Do not confuse movement with progress. Do not confuse action with power. The greatest power you hold is your ability to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell there until it hardens into fact. And this is not done through force, but through relaxation, through surrender. The kind of surrender that says, I already have it. I already am it. I already know it's done. What happens when you stop trying to make it happen? What happens when you release the grip and simply become the person who already has what they desire? You begin to radiate a different energy. You begin to draw to you the very things you once chased. You become magnetic, not because you are demanding, but because you are aligned. The universe responds not to your words, but to your state. And your state is always revealed by what you accept as true right now. This is why you must relax. Because only in relaxation can the truth of your being rise to the surface. Only in stillness can the imagination speak clearly. When you let go of effort and lean into expectancy, you begin to remember that creation was never about doing. It was always about being. And your only task is to be the version of yourself who already has it. Let others strive. Let others run. You will walk in quiet certainty. You will sleep in peace and rise in confidence. Not because of what is around you, but because of what lives within you. The truth is not somewhere far away. It is within your own wonderful human imagination. It is within the image you hold, and the feeling you nourish, and the rest you allow. Every desire comes with its own fulfillment attached. You were never meant to carry the weight of how. You were only meant to carry the vision, and to nourish it with quiet joy. If you can see it in your mind and feel it in your body, then it is yours. Full stop. No conditions, no explanations, no doubt. So as you go about your day, carry the knowing. Carry it lightly. No need to strain. No need to obsess. Just rest in the awareness that it is unfolding, even now, even in silence, even when nothing seems to be changing. Trust the root before the fruit. Trust the invisible before the visible. Trust the seed before the harvest. Let your inner world become so vivid, so alive, so real, that the outer world cannot help but conform to it. This is not fantasy, this is law. It is the law of consciousness, the law of assumption, the law of becoming. And becoming is not effort, it is ease, it is flow, it is rest. So remain in the feeling. Let it wrap around you like a garment. Wear it in your mind when you rise in the morning and before you close your eyes at night. Let the desire be no longer a distant hope, but a present experience in your imagination. You are not waiting for it, you are living from it. The person who already has their desire does not wonder when will it come. They know it is already done. That knowing is your power, that knowing is your rest. And while the outer world continues to shift and rearrange, do not be moved. Appearances are but shadows. Circumstances are reflections of past assumptions. If they do not match your vision, do not react. Remain faithful. The moment you react to what is, you give it life. The moment you stand unmoved and loyal to what you have imagined, you give power to what will be. Relaxing is not weakness. It is mastery. It is the mastery of choosing your state and dwelling in it no matter what. You were never meant to chase anything. The rose does not chase the bee, yet it attracts with its fragrance. The sun does not plead for recognition, yet the world awakens to its light. When you enter the right state of being, everything that belongs to that state must find you. And you enter that state not by effort, but by assumption. You assume the role inwardly and let the scene unfold outwardly. There is no struggle in this. There is only acceptance. The universe loves a relaxed mind. Why? Because a relaxed mind is a trusting mind. It does not contradict its own creation. It does not dig up the seed every hour to check if it's growing. It plants the desire once in the fertile soil of the imagination and waters it with belief. It does not ask how, because it already knows it is done. That is the secret. That is the art. To become still and let the unseen carry your vision into visibility. Let each breath remind you, I am already it. I already have it. I already am what I desire to be. And let that feeling saturate your day. Let it color your thoughts, guide your choices, and uplift your speech. Others may not see it yet, but you see it. Others may question your calm, but you know what you've accepted in imagination must come to pass. You are not pretending, you are proclaiming. You are not daydreaming, you are dwelling. And as you dwell in that state, your outer world has no choice but to shift. People, places, and events will conspire to reflect what you have claimed in silence. The universe does not forget your vision. It works tirelessly, invisibly, without sleep, to bring forth what you have accepted as true. So go deeper into the stillness. Let every tension go. Let the anxious questions fall away. Let the doubt dissolve in the presence of your inner certainty. Nothing is out of reach. Nothing is too big, too far, or too complicated. What you can feel as true, you can live as real. Your only task is to feel it until you forget it's not yet seen. The world will remember it for you. You don't need to force your way forward. You don't need to convince anyone, not even yourself. Just return again and again to the feeling. Rest in it. Relish it. Feel how natural it is to be this version of yourself. This is not about discipline. It's about delight. It's about the joy of knowing that creation is already complete and you are simply aligning with it through rest. Let your imagination become your home. Let your inner world become more real to you than anything else. For that is the true world, the first cause, the origin of all. What you accept there must become your experience here. This is the law, immutable, precise, unfailingly exact. And when the old world tries to pull you back with its illusions of limitation, do not fight, do not resist. Simply turn inward again. Withdraw from the noise and return to the image. Relax into it, trust it, feel it, and remain there. Because to remain is to reign. To relax is to rule. The one who holds the image without strain holds the power without limit. And as you continue to rest in that deep inner knowing, you begin to notice something remarkable. The need to hustle, to prove, to push begins to fade. In its place rises a calm assurance, a quiet dignity, a presence that draws what is yours without resistance. You become the center of gravity, no longer pulled by the external, but anchored in the internal. And everything begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. You walk through the world differently now, not hurried, not frantic, but composed, intentional, poised. People feel it. They may not understand it, but they feel the energy you carry. The one who is certain does not explain. The one who knows does not argue. You don't need to convince the world of anything. You only need to convince yourself. And once you do, the world will mirror it. This is the sacred dance between you and the universe. You imagine, you feel, you assume, and then you relax. You don't watch the clock. You don't grasp. You don't beg. You relax into the fullness of what already is, and in that sacred space, The unseen begins to shape itself in visible form, quietly, gracefully, without strain. It does not matter what others see or say. It does not matter what the senses report. Your reality begins not with your eyes, but with your awareness. When you change that inner scene, when you truly inhabit it, not as fantasy, but as fact, you step into a new world, one tailor-made to reflect the consciousness you've chosen, and the only price of admission is your willingness to believe without seeing, to feel without proof, to rest without demand. You will notice that the more you relax, the more your desires begin to unfold with ease. You meet the right people by chance. You receive the right ideas seemingly out of nowhere. You find yourself in the right place at the right time, not because you planned it all, but because you allowed it. You became receptive. You stepped into the frequency of your fulfilled desire and let it come to you. This is the effortless path, the higher way, the silent power that works beneath appearances. And once you understand it, once you experience the joy of watching your imaginal acts become facts, you will never again seek the old ways of striving and chasing. You will know that rest is more powerful than effort, and that imagination is the only true source of creation. You will see that the world responds not to force, but to alignment, not to panic, but to peace. And peace comes when you stop questioning whether it will happen and begin living as though it already has. The most powerful statement you can make to the universe is stillness in the face of absence. When you refuse to react to lack and instead respond with faith, you are declaring your dominion over the seen and the unseen. And in that declaration, things begin to move. Invisible bridges are built. People and opportunities are drawn to you, not because you sought them, but because they belong to the version of you you've already become in consciousness. And the longer you remain in that inner state, the faster the outer world conforms. So you return again and again to that place within where your desire is already real, where the end is already lived, where the result is already felt, and you rest there, not just once, but as a way of life. You learn to let the feeling become your foundation. You let it anchor you when doubt tries to pull you away. You let it speak louder than evidence, louder than fear, louder than time, because you know now that reality bends to the one who knows who they are, the one who imagines boldly and rests completely, the one who sees with the inner eye and walks by that sight, the one who is not shaken by appearances, but moved only by vision. And as you continue dwelling in that inner world, letting the feeling of fulfillment be your constant companion, something else begins to shift. Not just your circumstances, but your identity. You no longer identify as someone who is trying to manifest, but as one who already is the embodiment of the desired reality. You stop waiting for a sign, because you are the sign. You stop needing confirmation. You become the living proof of your own imagination. This is not about pretending, it is about becoming. And becoming does not require effort, it requires surrender. Surrender to the image, surrender to the feeling, surrender to the knowing that what you see within is more real than anything that surrounds you. The outer world is only a shadow, a delayed echo, but the inner world is the source. All power resides there. And when you reside there, without tension, without contradiction, you wield that power effortlessly. You begin to understand that miracles are not rare. They are natural responses to those who dwell in the assumption of already having. The extraordinary becomes ordinary, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Your perception, your state, your vibration, these are the silent architects of your world. And the more you relax into that truth, the more it shows itself in ways that defy logic and transcend effort. There's no more need to make things happen. You are no longer the worker, you are the vessel. The creative force flows through you when you stop blocking it with resistance, worry, and fear. When you stop fighting the current and instead allow yourself to be carried by the vision that lives within you, everything accelerates. Not in chaos, but in perfect order. Not with struggle, but with grace. The secret is to hold the state without strain, to dwell in the feeling of completion without needing evidence to support it, to become so inwardly convinced that the outer world must yield. And it will, it always does, because it has no choice but to reflect what you persist in being. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are is a direct result of what you claim as true in the unseen chambers of your mind. So you choose again and again to rest, not out of laziness, but out of mastery. You rest because you know. You rest because you trust. You rest because you've seen the pattern. Every time you assume and surrender, the universe delivers in ways you couldn't have orchestrated if you tried. You stop interfering with the process. You stop doubting in the waiting. You stop analyzing the how. You relax into the truth that everything is already unfolding, and your only job is to remain aligned. And alignment is not a frantic dance. It's a stillness, a quiet, unshakable confidence, a gentle return to the inner sanctuary where all things are possible and all things are present. You return to it like breath, like a sacred rhythm, over and over, until it becomes more real than anything else. You begin to feel that every moment is an invitation to live from the end. Every situation, no matter how it appears, becomes an opportunity to remain faithful to your vision. And this faith is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not plead or push. It whispers, I am already there. It breathes. It is already done. It smiles. Nothing can stop what's already mine. And in this rhythm, you find your power, not in the force of effort, but in the gentleness of certainty. A certainty so profound that it no longer seeks outward signs because it carries the seed of fulfillment within. You no longer speak of your desire as something to come, but as something unfolding now, through you, as you, in perfect harmony with all that is. The language of your inner world changes. You no longer say, I hope it happens. You say, it is happening now. You no longer wonder, what if it doesn't? You affirm, it already has. This shift in identity is the axis around which the world bends. For reality is not fixed, it is fluid, ever malleable, responsive to the impressions you leave upon it through imagination. The world doesn't resist your desires, it only waits for your alignment with them. And the more you relax into the version of yourself who already has, already knows, already lives the dream, the faster the shadows catch up with the light within. There is a great beauty in this surrender. It is not giving up. It is giving in to the flow of creative intelligence that knows more than your conscious mind ever could. When you let go of the grasping, the planning, the needing to know, you make space for inspiration, for synchronicity, for divine timing. The current of life begins to carry you, not away from your desires, but directly toward their perfect fulfillment. And all you did was rest. Rest in the awareness of already having, rest in the state of completion. This rest is the ultimate form of trust. It says, I do not need to chase what is already mine. It says, I am willing to be still while the unseen arranges the scene. And in that stillness, in that deep inner rest, you become a witness to the miraculous. Things shift, paths open, obstacles dissolve. What once seemed far becomes near. And what once felt difficult becomes effortless. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because that question belongs to the version of you who still waits. Now you ask instead, how can I deepen my knowing? How can I rest more fully in the vision? How can I inhabit the feeling more completely until there is no room for contradiction? And in asking those questions, you rise in vibration. You become the match to your manifestation. And the universe responds not to your words, but to your state. The inner conviction that you are already what you desire to be. And so you build your day not around tasks, but around consciousness. You move from the state, not toward it. You let the feeling of the wish fulfill, guide your steps, shape your speech, inform your choices. And without effort, without even noticing when it began, the outer world begins to rearrange itself. The people you need show up. The resources you require appear. The timing is precise. And you smile, not in surprise, but in recognition, because this is exactly what you saw within. This is the echo of your own assumption. Keep imagining, keep relaxing. Keep returning to the state, not as something to force, but as something to enjoy. The more you enjoy the feeling of the end, the more your life becomes a seamless outpicturing of that joy. You no longer divide yourself between the present and the future. You become one with the end now. And in that union, the world bends to your being. The seen bows to the unseen. The temporary gives way to the eternal, and all of it flows through you. Not because you demanded it, but because you became it. And as you become it more fully, more consistently, more effortlessly, the line between desire and fulfillment begins to disappear. You don't feel like someone reaching towards something, you feel like someone remembering who they truly are. This isn't about adding to yourself, it's about uncovering what was already there. The vision was always yours. The dream was always seated within you because you were meant to experience it. You don't manifest from lack, you manifest from recognition. Recognition that what you've longed for is simply the next natural expression of who you are. You walk with a quiet authority now, not loud, not showy, but rooted, anchored in the knowing that all things come to you not by chasing them, but by receiving them. And you receive not with your hands, but with your state. Your state is your signature in the unseen, and it speaks louder than any spoken word. When you dwell in the state of already having, you don't need to do more. You need only to be. Being is the cause, action is the echo, and when it is time to act, the act will be effortless, inspired, undeniable, flowing from within, not pushed from fear. This is where the magic happens. Not in the noise of effort, but in the silence of alignment. The world may still offer reasons to worry, but you are unmoved. The outer may still flicker with shadows of old beliefs, but you no longer bow to them. You return inward, again and again, to the truth you have chosen. The feeling of fulfillment becomes your sanctuary, your power source, your compass. It becomes so real, so rich, so natural, that you forget there was ever a time when you didn't live from it. And then suddenly, without fanfare, without warning, the outer world catches up. What once seemed impossible becomes obvious. What once felt distant arrives in perfect order. The manifestation is no longer a surprise. It is a confirmation of what you have already lived inside for days, weeks, months, and you realize that the real shift was never in the outer, it was always in you. You stopped waiting, you stopped trying, you became, and in that becoming, everything changed. You begin to feel a rhythm, a pulse, a sacred timing in all things. You no longer rush the process, you honor it. You no longer worry about delays, you understand they are alignments. What you want is being prepared for you just as you are being prepared for it. And every day you relax into that truth, the bridge of incidents builds itself beneath your feet. Each moment becomes another step into the world you've already claimed within. Even your challenges begin to take on new meaning. They are no longer roadblocks, they are refinements. They shape your clarity, strengthen your conviction, strip away the parts of you that are not aligned with your vision, and you welcome them, not with resistance, but with grace, because you know they are not in the way, they are part of the way. They are sculpting the perfect fit between your current state and your destined reality. And all of it happens without struggle, without force, without noise, because you have tapped into the deepest current of creation. The relaxed knowing that what is meant for you, what you have dared to imagine, already exists, already belongs to you, and is now being drawn to you through the silent magnetism of your inner world. Remember this above all else. Your greatest power lies not in chasing or striving, but in relaxing and knowing. When you settle into the quiet certainty that your desires are already fulfilled within your imagination, you align yourself with the limitless creative force of the universe. Trust this process deeply. Hold steadfast in your inner vision and allow the outer world to rearrange itself effortlessly around your unshakable belief. The moment you stop struggling and start being, the moment you relax into the truth of your own manifestation, is the moment all things begin to flow to you with perfect timing, ease, and grace. So breathe, surrender, and step confidently into the knowing that everything you desire is already yours, waiting only for you to receive it.